Welcome to the Friday Night Campfire Stories. My name is Rob, and I will be your host for this evening. So every single week, we try to make our weeks as creepy and as eerie and as scary as possible. That's why the namesake of the channel is the Friday Night Campfire Stories. It's because every single Friday, we experience one chapter from one of my short stories. And although my stories may be scary or chilling or eerie, they're not real. They're made up in my own head. And every Wednesday, we step away from the fictional frights and delve into the real terrors that haunt the world we live in. These are the true stories of crime, mystery, and unimaginable horror. Reminders that sometimes reality is far scarier than fiction. Join us as we uncover the cases that could happen to anyone, proving the darkest stories aren't made up. They're lived. This is my series, Far From Fiction. GIlgo Beach, a serene stretch of sand on Long Island, concealing a dark secret beneath its tranquil facade. This is the haunting tale of the GIlgo Beach serial killings, a mystery that baffled investigators and gripped the nation for over a decade. Our story begins in the early hours of May 1st, 2010, when 23-year-old Shannon Gilbert, an escort, made a frantic 911 call from Oak Beach, near GIlgo.
There's somebody after me.
Where are you, ma'am?
I don't know.
You're driving right now?
No, I'm inside the house. No, stop, no!
She believed her life was in imminent danger. Despite an extensive search, Shannon vanished into the night, leaving behind more questions than answers. 7 months later, the police would not stop looking for Shannon. However, in their search, they would find pieces to the puzzle that they weren't trying to solve. During the search for Shannon, police stumbled upon a grim discovery: the skeletal remains of a young woman, identified as Melissa Barthelemy. She was the first of what would become known as the GIlgo 4. Melissa Barthelemy was a 24-year-old, last seen in July of 2009. A petite woman with dreams of building a better life. She worked as an escort and lived in the Bronx area. On the night she went missing, she had met a client and deposited $900 in her bank account. She then went missing. However, her 15-year-old sister would begin living her cruel nightmare. A week after the disappearance of her sister Melissa, Amanda would begin receiving phone calls from a random man who is said to be her sister's killer. The phone calls would be vulgar, mocking, and insulting. The phone calls would be from her sister's phone. These phone calls would not stop, and of course, worried for her sister, Amanda would answer the phone calls from Melissa. However, never getting to speak to her. But she kept answering these calls that went on for about 5 weeks. Police were able to track the calls, however, they were never able to find a location where the killer would be. It was always in public places like Madison Square Garden or Midtown. The next of the GIlgo 4 is Maureen Brainard Barnes. 25 years old, she disappeared in July of 2007. She was a loving mother seeking financial stability. She lived in Norwich, Connecticut, and decided to make a trip to go to New York City for the day. She unfortunately would not return. She worked as a seasonal telemarketer, but was forced to turn into escort service when she was out of work. Much like Melissa, Maureen's friend, Sarah, would receive disturbing phone calls from a man who claimed to have just seen Maureen. On the night that she disappeared, she was working at a hotel in Manhattan when she called a friend from Connecticut and told her she was going to be meeting a client away from the hotel. Maureen was not heard or seen from again, and she left behind a 7-year-old daughter. The third of the GIlgo 4 was Megan Waterman. She's 22 years old, vanished in June of 2010. A young mother striving for a fresh start. She had a 3-year-old daughter and was forced into sex trafficking because of her boyfriend. He was arrested in April of 2012. Finally, there was Amber Costello, 27 years old, missing since September 2010. Known for her vibrant personality and resilience, she worked as a sex worker just a few miles from GIlgo Beach. And the night she went missing, she had reportedly received numerous phone calls from a client who kept offering her $1,500 for her service. Her roommate gave the police a description of the man who picked her up and his vehicle. It was a first-generation Chevy Avalanche. Costello was a drug addict and lived with many other drug addicts. In fact, that's why she wasn't reported missing immediately, because they all assumed that she wanted a better life and that she had checked herself into a rehab facility. All 4 women were petite in their 20s and connected through their work as an online escort. All of them had their services posted on Craigslist. Their remains were found within a quarter-mile stretch along the Ocean Parkway, each wrapped in burlap, which was a chilling signature. As the investigation deepens, so did the horror. Additional searches uncovered more remains, some linked to missing persons from as far back as 1996, including Jessica Taylor and Valerie Mack, whose partial remains were found both in Maynardville along Ocean Parkway. The discovery of these remains suggested a predator with a long calculated history. Despite the mounting evidence, the identity of the killer remained elusive. Years passed, leads grew cold, and the families of the victims were left in agonizing limbo. In early 2022, a renewed sense of urgency led to the formation of a multi-agency task force dedicated to cracking the case. Advanced in technology and forensic science offered a glimmer of hope. Their perseverance paid off, and in July of 2023, authorities arrested 59-year-old Rex Heuermann, a Manhattan architect and family man, charging him with the murder of the GIlgo 4.
Is this architect a serial killer cops have been hunting for 13 years? 59-year-old Rex Heuermann was arrested in a raid on his 11th floor office of this building on Manhattan's 5th Avenue by cops investigating the notorious GIlgo Beach murders on Long Island. Heuermann has been described as an ogre. He's 6'4" and 240 pounds. He first came to the attention of authorities in 2022 when it was discovered he once owned a Chevrolet Avalanche, a vehicle that was used to pick up one of the victims. Prosecutors say DNA evidence on the 3 bodies link him directly to the murders. His attorney spoke after his court appearance.
Speaking to my client, the only thing I can tell you that he did say as he was in tears was, "I didn't do this."
Court documents reveal Heuermann used burner phones to arrange meetings with 3 of the victims for sexual encounters. They released these surveillance photos of him buying the phones and this selfie, which he sent to one of the sex workers. The bodies of 4 sex workers known as the GIlgo 4 were found wrapped in burlap on this desolate stretch of beach on Long Island in 2010. 7 more victims were found the following year. Police in hazmat gear swarmed through his modest red house in Massapequa Park, Long Island today, where he grew up. He lives there with his wife and 2 adult children. The house is about 15 miles from where the bodies of the GIlgo 4, all said to be sex workers, were discovered.
The focus for me, the members of our team, have been on bringing justice for these victims and closure to these families who have suffered.
The GIlgo Beach case was triggered in 2010 by a disturbing 911 call from a sex worker, Shannon Gilbert.
The seemingly ordinary life of Heuermann concealed a sinister double existence. Evidence revealed meticulous planning with detailed planning documents outlining his methods, and DNA links connecting him to the scene of the crime. The description of his Chevy Avalanche that Amber's roommate had given to the police also helped solve their case. By December of 2024, Heuermann faced additional charges, bringing the total to 7 victims, including Valerie Mack. Prosecutors alleged that he lured victims, committed the murders in his own home, and disposed of their bodies along Ocean Parkway. While the arrests brought measures of closures, the scar left behind the actions that continue to haunt the families and the community. The GIlgo Beach murder serves as a somber reminder of the darkness that can lurk beneath the surface, and the relentless pursuit of justice by those who refuse to let the voices of the lost be forgotten. That is going to do it for today. I hope that you guys did enjoy. If you did, please be sure to click that like button. Also hit that subscribe button. We are on the road to 50 subscribers by the end of January. Not sure if we're going to get there, but I definitely need your guys' help to be able to do that. So if you wouldn't mind going down, clicking that subscribe button. Takes nothing but a second and is absolutely free. It would mean a lot to me to be able to see the number 50 underneath the name of the channel here at the end of the month. But again, I need your guys' help for that. We make videos 3 times every single week. Every Monday, we do an episode of Echoes of the Past, which is my haunted paranormal history series that I do, where we do a research project on paranormal locations all around the world. Every single Wednesday, we do an episode of Far From Fiction, which is what we did today, the true crime series. And then, of course, every Friday, we experience one chapter from one of my short stories named after the channel, the Friday Night Campfire Stories. If any of that interests you, be sure to click that subscribe button. Come back every single Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. But that is going to do it for today. I hope that you guys did enjoy. We will see you guys next time. And as always, thank you for spending a little bit of your evening here with me.